The Kirath warship tore through the viewport like a blade through silk, and Captain Derek Stone knew they had 30 seconds before the shields collapsed. "All power to forward batteries," he roared, hands flying across the tactical console. The bridge shook as plasma fire raked their hull. His crew moved with practiced precision, but he could see the fear in their eyes. They were outnumbered 15-1. Behind him, Princess Vera of the Solani stood frozen, her silver skin pale even by her species standards. She had boarded his ship 3 hours ago, 3 hours since their political marriage ceremony, 3 hours since she had sacrificed herself to forge an alliance that might save her dying world. She hadn't expected war to find them before they even reached human space. "Captain, their flagship is charging main weapons," Lieutenant Kane shouted from sensors. "Impact in 20 seconds." Derek's jaw clenched. The Kirath had been hunting the Solani for months, burning their colonies, enslaving their people. Vera's planet was next. That's why she had come. That's why she had agreed to marry a stranger from a species most of the galaxy considered primitive. Humans had only joined the galactic community 8 months ago. Most species still saw them as curiosity, weak, harmless. The Kirath were about to learn differently. "Divert all power from life support," Derek ordered. "I want every reactor feeding the main gun." "Sir, that's suicide," Kane protested. "Do it." Vera stepped forward, her violet eyes wide. "Captain Stone, your crew will suffocate. This is madness." He turned to face her, and she saw something in his expression that made her breath catch. Not fear, not resignation, something far more dangerous. Rage. Pure, controlled, human rage. "Princess, your people have been slaughtered for 3 months. You married me because you had no other choice, because your world is dying, and we were your last hope." His voice was steel. "I made a vow 3 hours ago. That makes your people my people, and I will burn before I let these bastards touch one more Solani life." The ship groaned as every system went dark except weapons. 10 seconds to impact," Kane called out, his voice steady now. The crew had stopped protesting. They understood. Derek's fingers hovered over the firing controls. The Kirath flagship loomed on the screen, massive and unstoppable, its weapons glowing with lethal energy. "Captain," Vera whispered, "what are you?" He smiled, and it was the smile of humanity's ancestors, the ones who had hunted predators twice their size with nothing but sharpened stones and fury. "I'm your husband, Princess, and I keep my promises." He fired. The universe turned white. The Kirath flagship exploded in a cascade of fire that lit up the void like a newborn star. Derek didn't wait to admire the destruction. "Emergency oxygen masks. Now, restore life support and bring point defense online. Their escort ships will swarm us in 15 seconds." The bridge crew moved like a machine. Oxygen hissed through emergency vents. Vera grabbed a support rail as the ship lurched sideways, narrowly avoiding a missile barrage from 3 Kirath destroyers closing fast. "Shield generators are slag," Kane reported. "All integrity at 40%. We're naked out here, sir." Vera watched Derek work, her analytical mind trying to process what she had just witnessed. The human had sacrificed his ship's defenses, risked his entire crew, and destroyed a vessel 10 times their size with a single shot. Military tactics across the galaxy emphasized survival, retreat, and overwhelming force. This man had chosen none of those. He had chosen violence. "Target the lead destroyer," Derek commanded. "Fire solution Gamma. Maximum penetration, minimal spread." "Sir, Gamma puts us within their point defense range," Lieutenant Harper called from weapons. We'll take heavy fire. I'm counting on it. Kane, the moment we're in range, cut main engines and fire reverse thrusters at full burn. Veyra's eyes widened. You're going to let them think you've lost engine control. Derek glanced at her, impressed. Your people didn't choose a random human ship for this alliance, did they, Princess? We researched you, Captain Stone, your Academy records, your service history, 43 combat engagements, 43 victories. She gripped the rail tighter as another impact shook the deck. They said you were brilliant but reckless, that you won battles you should have lost. They missed the important part. He turned back to his console. I win because I'm willing to pay the price they're not. Harper, fire on my mark. The destroyer opened up with everything it had. Plasma bolts hammered their hull. Alarms shrieked as sections of the ship vented atmosphere. 2 crew members at the aft stations collapsed, blood streaming from shrapnel wounds. Veyra started toward them, but a hand caught her arm. Lieutenant Harper, a woman with burn scars across half her face, shook her head. Medical team is on it, Princess. You stay here. The captain needs you to see this. See what? What humans do when they're cornered. Derek's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. Mark. The ship's main cannon fired at point-blank range. The destroyer's armor, designed to deflect long-range attacks, shattered like glass. The shell punched through the hull, through the reactor core, and out the other side. The Kyrath ship died without firing another shot. 2 destroyers remaining, Kane announced. They're breaking formation, trying to flank us. Let them. Derek pulled up a tactical display. Harper, I need a spread pattern on both targets. Don't aim for kills. I want mobility hits. Engines and maneuvering thrusters only. Veyra frowned. You're not destroying them? Not yet. His eyes never left the screen. Princess, why did the Kyrath start hunting your people? The question caught her off guard. Resources. Our worlds are rich in Hilarium crystals. They need them for their war machine. Wrong. Derek zoomed in on the 2 destroyers. They're hunting you because you're easy prey. Because in 3,000 years of galactic civilization, you've forgotten something humans never did. Predators don't respect mercy. They respect pain. He opened a communications channel. The face of a Kyrath commander appeared on screen. Reptilian features twisted in fury. The translator rendered his words in harsh, guttural tones. Human vessel, you have killed a Kyrath admiral. Surrender now, and your death will be quick. Derek smiled that terrible smile again. Counteroffer. You have 10 seconds to jump to FTL and run. After that, I'm going to cripple your ships, board them, and show you what humans do to slavers. The Kyrath commander's scales rippled with what Veyra recognized as laughter. You are one damaged ship with a primitive crew. We are the Kyrath Dominion. We have conquered 40 species. What can one human do? Derek's expression never changed. Guess we'll find out. Harper, fire. The weapons officer executed the pattern perfectly. Both destroyers took hits to their engine clusters. They didn't explode. They just stopped, drifting in space, weapons still active, but unable to maneuver. Sitting ducks. Kane, launch boarding pods. Full marine complement. Rules of engagement. Anyone who resists dies. Anyone who surrenders gets locked in their own brig. Derek stood from his chair. I'm going with them. Captain, you can't, Kane protested. If you're killed, then Lieutenant Harper takes command and finishes the job. He grabbed a rifle from the weapons locker. Veyra, you wanted to know what I am. Come with me. I'll show you. She was royalty, a political asset. Her safety was paramount to the Alliance. But she had seen that smile, that rage, and she needed to understand the species she had bound her fate to. I'm coming, she said. The boarding pod launched 30 seconds later, carrying them toward the crippled Kyrath destroyer, and a lesson the galaxy would never forget. The boarding pod slammed into the Kyrath hull with enough force to crack bone. Veyra's restraints dug into her shoulders as the impact threw her forward. Around her, 8 human Marines hung in their harnesses, weapons ready, faces hidden behind combat helmets. Derek released his restraints first. Breach in 3, 2, 1. The explosive bolts fired, metal shrieked. The pod's front panel blew inward, revealing a smoke-filled corridor lined with surprised Kyrath soldiers. The humans moved like death itself. Veyra had studied human combat footage. Clinical, analytical. She thought she understood their capabilities. She understood nothing. Derek fired 3 shots before his boots hit the deck. 3 Kyrath dropped, armor smoking from precision hits. A Marine named Carson went left, his shotgun roaring. Another called Price went right, her rifle barking in controlled bursts. The corridor became a kill zone in seconds. A Kyrath warrior, easily twice Derek's size, charged from a side passage. Scales like armor plating, claws that could rend steel. It swung a plasma blade in a killing arc. Derek dropped under the swing, rolled, came up inside the creature's guard, and put his rifle barrel against its throat. He fired once. The Kyrath collapsed. "Keep moving," he shouted. "They'll seal the blast doors in 60 seconds." The Marines pushed forward. Veyra ran behind them, her heart hammering. She had never seen violence like this. The Solani were scholars, artists, diplomats. War for them meant fleet engagements, strategic calculations, negotiations. This was slaughter. They reached an intersection. Plasma fire erupted from 3 directions. A Marine named Hughes took a hit to the shoulder, his armor absorbing most of the impact. He grunted, dropped to one knee, and kept firing. "Grenade!" Carson called. He threw something small and black around the corner. The explosion shook the walls. Derek grabbed Veyra and pulled her into cover. "Stay behind me." These corridors are designed for Kyrath. They're bigger, stronger, tougher than us. Then how are you winning? His eyes met hers through his helmet visor. "Because we're meaner." He proved it 10 seconds later. A Kyrath officer emerged from a doorway, weapon raised. Derek was faster, but instead of shooting, he surged forward, grabbed the creature's gun arm, and used its own momentum to slam it face first into the bulkhead. The Kyrath crumpled. "Prisoner!" Derek barked. "Price, secure him." They fought through 2 more corridors. Every intersection was a battle, every doorway a potential ambush. But the humans never slowed, never hesitated. They moved with a synchronization that bordered on telepathy. Veyra began to understand something terrifying. These weren't soldiers. They were hunters. And every movement, every shot, every decision was aimed at one thing: total dominance. They reached the bridge in 4 minutes. The blast door was sealed, reinforced, designed to withstand ship-to-ship weapons. Derek pulled a device from his belt and slapped it against the door. Shaped charge. Everyone back. The explosion carved a human-sized hole through 3 inches of reinforced steel. Derek went through first, rifle up. The Kyrath bridge crew tried to fight. It was pathetic. These were ship operators, not warriors. Derek disarmed the captain with a single strike, grabbed him by the throat, and slammed him against the command console. "I gave you a chance to run," Derek said quietly. The translator rendered his words in the Karath language. "You chose wrong." The captain's scales rippled with defiance. "You cannot defeat the Dominion, human. We are Legion. We will crush your pathetic species and enslave the Solani. This changes nothing." Derek's grip tightened. "You're right about one thing. This changes nothing for you. Your fleet is still out there. Your war machine is still running, but I'm going to send them a message." He released the captain and turned to his Marines. "Secure all prisoners in the brig. Download their navigation logs, communication records, everything. I want to know where every Kyrath ship in this sector is operating." "Sir," Carson said, "the second destroyer is hailing. They want to negotiate. Tell them they have two options: surrender completely or join their flagship in pieces." The Kyrath captain laughed, a rasping sound. "You think one victory makes you feared? We have thousands of ships. You are nothing." Vera watched Derek's expression shift. The rage she had seen before condensed into something colder, something calculated. "Princess," he said without looking at her, "how many Solani colonies has the Kyrath destroyed?" Her voice was barely a whisper. 17. "How many Solani have they enslaved?" "We estimate 200,000. Derek nodded slowly. He walked to the communications console and opened a channel to the second destroyer. The Kyrath commander's face appeared, already speaking in rapid, angry tones. Derek cut him off. "I'm Captain Derek Stone of the human vessel Valiant. 3 hours ago, I married Princess Vera of the Solani. That makes her people my people. You've been killing my people, enslaving my people. That ends now." The Kyrath commander's scales flushed dark with amusement. "And what will one human ship do, Captain? You have won a single battle. The Dominion will erase you from existence." Derek leaned closer to the camera. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of something ancient, something primal. "I'm going to hunt down every ship in your fleet that touched Solani space. I'm going to destroy them one by one. And when I find your home world, I'm going to make sure every Kyrath knows the cost of threatening humanity's allies." He paused. "You wanted to know what one human can do. Watch." He cut the transmission and turned to Carson. "Set scuttling charges on this ship. 15-minute timer. Make sure the prisoners are off first." "Sir, the second destroyer just jumped to FTL." Kane's voice crackled over Derek's calm. "They ran." Vera stared at Derek in disbelief. "You destroyed their flagship, captured their destroyer, and scared the third into retreat, all with one damaged ship." Derek checked his rifle and started back toward the boarding pod. "We're not done, Princess. That was the easy part. Now comes the war." The Valiant limped back to the Solani homeworld with 2 captured Kyrath destroyers in tow and a crew that should have been dead 3 times over. Vera stood on the bridge, watching her planet grow larger in the viewport, and tried to process the last 6 hours of her life. She had married a human to save her people. She had watched him turn a doomed battle into a massacre. And now she was bringing him home to a world that had no idea what was coming. "Princess, we're being hailed by your planetary defense fleet," Kane announced. "They're requesting identification and asking why we're towing Kyrath vessels." Vera moved to the communications console. "This is Princess Vera. I'm returning with the Human Alliance and valuable intelligence. Grant us immediate landing clearance and summon the Council of Elders."
The response was immediate.
Her father's face appeared on screen, his silver features lined with worry and relief. King Theron of the Solani was a scholar king, a ruler who had spent 2 centuries building peace through diplomacy. He had no experience with men like Derek Stone. "Vera, thank the ancestors you're safe. We detected the battle at the border. We feared the worst." His eyes shifted to Derek. "Is this the human captain?" "Father, this is my husband, Captain Derek Stone." She kept her voice formal, aware that thousands of Solani were likely watching this transmission. "He engaged a Kyrath assault fleet and won." Silence. Her father's expression shifted through confusion, disbelief, and finally concern. The Kirath don't lose fleet engagements, daughter. What exactly happened? Derek stepped into view. Your Majesty, we destroyed their flagship, captured one destroyer, and forced another to retreat. We have intelligence on Kirath fleet movements, supply lines, and strategic targets. With your permission, I'd like to present this information to your military command immediately. Theron's eyes narrowed. Captain Stone, the Solani have not engaged in offensive military operations in over 500 years. We are a peaceful people. I understand, sir, but the Kirath aren't interested in your peace. They're interested in your resources and your people as slaves. Derek's tone was respectful but firm. I'm offering you a chance to end this war before they destroy another colony. We had hoped to negotiate a settlement, to find common ground. Beira saw Derek's jaw tighten. She stepped in quickly. Father, negotiation has failed. They attacked us unprovoked at the border. If Captain Stone hadn't acted, I would be dead or captured. Our alliance would have died before it began. The king was silent for a long moment. Finally, he nodded. Land at the royal spaceport. The council will convene in 2 hours. Captain, I hope you understand that convincing the Solani to wage war will be difficult. We are not a warrior species. Derek's expression softened slightly. Your Majesty, I'm not asking you to become warriors. I'm asking you to let me do what humans do best. You focus on protecting your people. I'll focus on destroying anyone who threatens them. The transmission ended. Veira turned to Derek. My father is a good king, but he doesn't understand conflict. None of them do. The council will debate for days. They'll want to study the data, consult historical precedents, form committees. How long before the Kirath attack another colony? She checked the navigation logs they had pulled from the captured destroyer. Her blood went cold. There's a fleet movement scheduled for the Helios colony in 72 hours. Population 40,000. Derek moved to the tactical display. How far is Helios from here? 18 hours at maximum speed. Then we have 54 hours to prepare a defense. He looked at Kane. How bad is our damage? Shields are offline for at least 30 hours. Hull breaches on decks 4 and 7. Main cannon needs a full reactor recalibration. We're at 60% combat effectiveness, sir. Derek studied the captured Kirath ships on the display. Those destroyers are still operational. Can we crew them? Kane blinked. Sir, we don't know Kirath systems. The controls are designed for their physiology. It would take weeks to... We don't have weeks. Get our engineers on it. I want those ships ready to fight in 24 hours. He turned to Veira. Princess, I need to ask you something, and I need an honest answer. She met his gaze. Ask. If I take a small fleet to Helios and stop this attack, will your council support me? Or will they see it as human aggression and dissolve our alliance? The question cut to the heart of everything. Veira knew her people, knew their fear of conflict, knew how centuries of peace had made them soft, but she had also seen what Derek could do, what he would do to protect those he considered his own. If you save Helios, some will call you a warmonger. Some will demand you be tried for violating Solani's sovereignty. She stepped closer. But the 40,000 people you save will call you a hero, and they will tell their children about the human who stood between them and annihilation. Derek nodded. That's all I need. The landing at the Royal Spaceport drew crowds. Thousands of Solani gathered to see the human ship and its impossible cargo. Veira walked down the ramp beside Derek, feeling the weight of countless eyes. Her father waited at the base, surrounded by the council of elders, 12 ancient Solani who had guided their people through centuries of prosperity. They looked at Derek like he was a dangerous animal. Elder Soerth spoke first, his voice thin with age. "Captain Stone, we are grateful for my daughter's safe return. However, your actions have created a diplomatic crisis. The Kyrath Dominion has issued a formal complaint to the Galactic Assembly. They claim you committed acts of piracy and murdered a Kirath admiral." Derek's expression didn't change. "They attacked us without provocation. I defended my ship and my wife. If the Galactic Assembly has a problem with that, they can file their complaint in person." Gasps rippled through the council. Solani didn't speak to elders this way. Vera saw her father's eyes widen. Elder Soreth's skin flushed with indignation. "Young human, you do not understand galactic law. The Assembly maintains order through diplomacy and established protocols. Your violence threatens that order. Your order is built on the suffering of weaker species," Derek said flatly. "The Kyrath have destroyed 17 Solani colonies. How many formal complaints did you file? How many diplomatic resolutions did the Assembly pass? Did any of it save a single life?" Silence. "Captain Stone makes a valid point," King Theron said quietly. "The Assembly has offered sympathy, but no action. Perhaps it is time we reconsider our approach. Your Majesty, surely you're not suggesting we abandon centuries of peaceful philosophy because of one violent incident?" Elder Soreth protested. Derek pulled out a data chip. "This contains intelligence from the captured Kirath vessels, fleet positions, supply routes, communication protocols, and a detailed plan for an attack on the Helios colony in 72 hours. The color drained from the council members' faces. Helios was a cultural center, home to universities and art galleries. The idea of it under attack was unthinkable. "We must evacuate," one elder said. "We must negotiate," another insisted. "We must appeal to the Assembly," a third added. Derek looked at Vera. She saw the question in his eyes, the choice he was giving her. She could support her people's way. Diplomacy, evacuation, appeals to distant authorities who had never helped before. Or she could support her husband's way. Violence, action, a path her people had never walked. Vera thought of the 40,000 Solani on Helios. Scholars, artists, children. She thought of what would happen to them if the Kirath came. Then she thought of Derek's smile before he fired on that flagship, the terrible, beautiful certainty of someone who knew exactly what needed to be done. She made her choice. "Father, I request permission to take a defense fleet to Helios." Her voice rang across the spaceport. "Captain Stone will command the operation. We will stop the Kirath attack before it begins."
The council erupted in protest.
Her father raised a hand for silence. "Daughter, you asked me to send my only child into battle, to trust a species we barely know with the lives of our people." Vera walked to her father and took his hands. "You trusted them enough to send me to marry one. Trust them now to do what we cannot. Let the humans teach the galaxy that the Solani have allies who will burn worlds to protect us." King Theron looked at Derek. "Can you truly stop this attack?" "Yes, Your Majesty, but I need ships, and I need them now." The king closed his eyes. When he opened them, Vera saw something she had never seen before in her father's face. Resolve. "You will have your fleet, Captain Stone, and may the ancestors forgive us for what comes next." The fleet that assembled at Helios was a patchwork of desperation and ingenuity. 3 Solani cruisers, built for exploration and ceremony rather than war. The damaged Valiant, held together by emergency welds and determination. And 2 captured Kyrath destroyers, crewed by human marines who had learned alien weapon systems through sheer bloody-minded stubbornness. Derek stood in the Valiant's CIC, surrounded by holographic displays showing the Helios colony and the surrounding space. Berea watched him work, coordinating with captains who had never fired a shot in anger. "Captain Lorien, your cruiser has the best sensor suite," Derek said to the Solani commander on screen. "You'll hang back at maximum detection range. The moment the Kyrath fleet drops out of FTL, I need position, heading, and ship classification." Lorien's silver features showed uncertainty. "Captain Stone, my crew are scientists and navigators. If we're detected, you won't be. You'll be running silent, passive sensors only. Your job is intelligence, not combat." Derek switched to another display. "Captain Harris, status on the captured destroyers?" A grizzled human face appeared. Harris commanded the Marines who had taken the Kyrath ships. "We've got basic weapons and propulsion online, sir. But these things are nightmares to operate. Controls are designed for hands twice our size. We're slow on the trigger. Slow is fine. I just need you to look threatening." Derek pulled up a tactical overlay. "The Kyrath are expecting an undefended colony. When they arrive, they'll see what looks like two of their own destroyers on patrol. That'll buy us 60 seconds of confusion." "And then?" Beira asked. "Then we hit them from 3 sides simultaneously." The Kyrath think in terms of dominance. They expect enemies to run or surrender. They don't expect prey to have teeth. A Solani captain named Saren spoke up from another display. "Captain Stone, with respect, the intelligence suggests a fleet of 8 Kyrath vessels. We are 5 ships, 2 of which are barely functional. The mathematics are not in our favor." Derek smiled that terrible smile. "Captain Saren, humans figured out a long time ago that mathematics only matter if everyone follows the same rules. We're going to break every rule they know." He spent the next 6 hours transforming frightened Solani crews into something resembling a fighting force, not warriors. He didn't have time for that, but he taught them to be survivors. "When the firing starts, your instinct will be to freeze," he told them over an open channel. "Don't. The moment you stop moving, you're dead. Keep your ships in motion. Keep changing vectors. Make them work for every shot." Beira moved through the Valiant, watching Derek's crew prepare. In the armory, Marines checked weapons with mechanical precision. In engineering, Lieutenant Commander Brooks nursed the damaged reactor like a dying patient. On the bridge, Kane ran simulation after simulation, preparing for scenarios where everything went wrong. Because things always went wrong in combat, she found Derek in his quarters, staring at a tactical display. He didn't look up when she entered. "You should be resting, Princess. So should you." She sat beside him. "My people are terrified. They've never done anything like this. Neither had my people once, we learned." He finally looked at her. "Thera, I need you to understand something. When this starts, people are going to die. Maybe Kyrath, maybe Solani, maybe humans. War isn't clean. It isn't honorable. It's just necessary." "I know." She touched his hand. "I've been thinking about what you said, about predators and pain. The Solani achieved peace by making ourselves unthreatening. We thought if we were gentle enough, kind enough, no one would harm us. And you learned that predators don't care about your kindness." "Yes." She met his eyes. "But you care. I've watched you with your crew, the way you know their names, the way you visited the wounded after the battle. You're violent, Derek, but you're not cruel." "Violence and cruelty aren't the same thing," he said quietly. "Cruelty is harming someone because you enjoy it. Violence is harming someone because they've left you no other choice. The Kyrath made their choice when they started killing your people." The alert sounded before she could respond. Kane's voice crackled over the comm. Captain, long-range sensors are picking up FTL signatures. Multiple contacts. They're early. Derek was moving before the sentence finished. Vera followed him to the bridge, her heart hammering. How early? Derek demanded. 6 hours, sir. They must have accelerated their schedule. Or they knew we were coming. Derek pulled up the tactical display. 8 Kirath warships materialized in formation, advancing on Helios like a pack of hunters. All ships, battle stations, execute Plan Delta. Captain Harris, are your destroyers in position? Affirmative, sir. We're running Kirath IFF codes. They should read us as friendlies for about 90 seconds. That's all we need. Captain Lorian, feed me real-time positions. Saren, Valan, move your cruisers into flanking positions. Wait for my signal. Thera watched the display as the pieces moved into place. The Kirath fleet advanced confidently, probably thinking the 2 destroyers ahead were part of their own force. Then their communications started. Destroyer Krathkor, report status, a harsh voice demanded, in the Kirath language. The translator rendered it in the bridge speakers. Harris responded, his voice distorted to sound like a Kirath commander. Sector secure. No resistance detected. The prey awaits harvest. Good. Maintain position. We will begin orbital bombardment in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 40,000 Solani lived on Helios. In 5 minutes, the Kirath would start killing them. Derek's hand hovered over the firing controls. All ships, this is Stone. In 30 seconds, we're going to show the Kirath what happens when you threaten Earth's allies. Remember your training. Keep moving, keep firing, and don't stop until every one of those ships is scrap. Vera saw something flash across the faces of the Solani captains. Not confidence. Not courage, desperation. The desperation of people who had finally realized that survival meant becoming something they had never been before. Derek counted down 10 seconds. 9, 8. The Kirath fleet closed on the colony, weapons charging. 3, 2, 1. The Valiant opened fire first. The shot caught the lead Kirath cruiser amidships, punching through shields that weren't raised because they thought they were safe. The cruiser staggered. Then the captured destroyers opened fire on the ships beside them. Point-blank range. Friendly fire turned lethal. 2 more Kirath vessels took critical damage before they even understood what was happening. The remaining 5 scattered, trying to form a defensive perimeter, but the Solani cruisers had already flanked them, their experimental weapons tearing into Kirath hulls. Derek's voice cut through the chaos. Harris, ram the damaged cruiser. Everyone else, focus fire on their command ship. Take out their coordination, and they'll fight as individuals. Sir, ramming will destroy both ships, Harris protested. I know. Get your crew to escape pods first. You've got 90 seconds. Vera grabbed Derek's arm. You can't ask them to. I'm not asking, Princess. I'm ordering. He looked at her with those cold, determined eyes. This is what war costs. Harris knows. His crew knows. They volunteered. On the display, the captured destroyer changed course, accelerating toward the crippled Kirath cruiser. Vera watched helplessly as small dots separated from the destroyer. Escape pods. Harris and his Marines abandoning ship. The destroyer hit the cruiser at full thrust. Both ships exploded in a bloom of fire that lit up Helios's night sky. The remaining Kirath ships panicked. They broke formation, each captain trying to save their own vessel. It was exactly what Derek had predicted. All ships, free fire, Derek commanded. Pick your targets and put them down. The battle became a slaughter. The Solani crews, frightened but determined, poured fire into Kirath hulls. The Valiant, battered but deadly, moved through the chaos like a shark through blood-dark water. In 12 minutes, it was over. 8 Kirath ships destroyed or disabled, 40,000 Solani saved, and the galaxy had just learned that humanity's allies were no longer defenseless prey. The Galactic Assembly convened in emergency session 3 days after Helios. Representatives from 200 species filled the grand chamber, their voices raised in confusion, outrage, and for some barely concealed fear. They stood beside Derek in the defendant circle, watching the chaos unfold. They had been summoned to explain their actions, to justify the violence, to answer for the 8 Kirath ships destroyed and the 1,700 Kirath warriors killed. The Kirath ambassador, a massive creature named Zrathok, stood across from them. His scales rippled with fury as he addressed the assembly. "The humans have committed an act of unprovoked aggression," he roared. "They destroyed Kirath vessels engaged in legitimate military operations. This is a violation of galactic law and demands immediate sanction." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The assembly valued order above all else. Derek's actions had shattered that order. Ambassador Telvin of the Vryn, a species known for their adherence to protocol, spoke next. "Captain Stone, you are aware that military action requires assembly authorization. You had no such authorization. How do you answer this charge?" Derek stepped forward. Veyra saw heads turn. Most species in the assembly had never seen a human before. They saw him now, calm, unafraid, dangerous. "I answer that the Kirath destroyed 17 Solani colonies before the assembly lifted a finger to stop them," Derek said. His voice carried across the chamber without shouting. "I answer that 200,000 Solani were enslaved while you debated resolutions. I answer that 40,000 innocent people would be dead right now if I had waited for your authorization." The chamber erupted. Some species shouted support. Others condemned him. Zrathok's scales flushed dark with rage. "The human speaks of crimes that were under investigation," Zrathok bellowed. "The assembly does not act rashly. We require evidence, testimony, due process. You require time that my people don't have," they were cut in. Every eye turned to her. She had been silent until now, playing the role of dutiful princess. "No more. The Kirath have been killing us for months. Every day you investigated, more Solani died. Captain Stone didn't violate your laws. He exposed your failure to enforce them." Ambassador Telvin's expression hardened. "Princess Veyra, the assembly understands your grief, but individual species cannot take military action without oversight. If we allow this, we invite chaos," Derek laughed. It was a cold sound that made several ambassadors flinch. "You already have chaos. You just call it order because it happens to someone else. The Kirath prey on weak species because they know the assembly won't stop them. Well, the Solani aren't weak anymore. They have allies who will." "The humans are a primitive species," Zrathok snarled. "You have been in space for less than one of your years. You do not understand galactic politics. You do not understand civilization." Derek met the Kirath's gaze without blinking. "You're right. We don't understand a civilization that watches genocide and calls it an investigation. We don't understand politics that value process over lives. But we understand something you've forgotten." He pulled out a data chip and uploaded its contents to the assembly's main display. Images filled the screens. Burning Solani colonies, slave markets, massacre sites. "We understand that evil only needs good people to do nothing," Derek continued. "For 3,000 years, you've built a galaxy on rules and protocols. The Kirath learn to exploit those rules. They know exactly how far they can push before you'll act. And they know that act means another committee, another investigation, Another strongly worded resolution. Captain Stone, you will not lecture this assembly, Ambassador Telvin said sharply. I'm not lecturing. I'm informing you of new reality. Derek gestured to the images. The Solani-Human Alliance doesn't recognize the authority of a body that allowed this to happen. We will defend Solani space. We will hunt Kyrath ships that threaten our people. And if that violates your laws, you are welcome to try and stop us. The chamber went silent. No one had ever challenged the Assembly's authority like this, not in 3 millennia of galactic history. Zrathok's voice dropped to a deadly whisper. You threaten war with the Kyrath Dominion? No. Derek smiled that terrible smile. I promise it. Every ship you send against the Solani will burn. Every world you use to stage attacks will be blockaded. You wanted to prey on a peaceful species because they couldn't fight back. Congratulations. Now they can. King Theron stepped forward from the Solani delegation. The Solani officially petitioned for the creation of a military defense pact with humanity. We request Assembly recognition of this alliance and the establishment of joint defense protocols. Ambassador Telvin looked between them, clearly calculating. Such a pact would require extensive review, months of negotiation, years perhaps. Then start now, Vera said, because with or without your approval, this alliance exists. My husband has already proven what it means to be humanity's friend. The galaxy should understand what it means to be their enemy. Derek pulled up another display. Ship movements, supply routes, all pulled from the Kareth vessels they had captured. We have complete intelligence on Kareth operations in this sector. Fleet positions, command structures, strategic vulnerabilities. The Assembly can have this information for free. Use it to finally enforce your own laws, or ignore it and watch us enforce ours. The silence stretched. Vera could see the calculations happening behind alien eyes. The Assembly had never faced a species like humanity before. Most new species arrived grateful, eager to join galactic civilization. They bent to the rules. Humans broke them. Ambassador Telvin consulted with other delegates in hushed tones. Finally, he spoke. The Assembly will take Captain Stone's intelligence under advisement. As for the charges of unauthorized military action, we will convene a special tribunal to determine appropriate sanctions. Convene whatever you want, Derek said, but understand this. The next Kyrath ship that enters Solani space will be destroyed. The next colony they attack will be avenged tenfold. The humans have made our position clear. The question is whether the Assembly has the courage to make theirs. He took Vera's hand and turned to leave. The chamber erupted behind them in argument and accusation, but Derek didn't look back. They walked through corridors lined with species that had never known real war, species that had forgotten what it meant to fight for survival. Vera saw how they looked at Derek, some with fear, some with disgust, and some, she noticed, with something that looked like hope. They reached their ship in silence. Only when the airlock sealed behind them did Vera finally speak. You've made enemies of half the galaxy today. I know, Derek started the pre-flight sequence, but I've also shown the other half that they don't have to be victims. Some of those species in that chamber are just like the Solani, peaceful, advanced, terrified. They've been waiting for someone to stand up to bullies like the Kyrath. And you think humanity can be that someone? He looked at her, really looked at her, the princess who had sacrificed herself to save her people and found something unexpected. Not just an alliance, not just protection, a partner. I think humanity can show them how to be that someone themselves, Derek said. We're not here to conquer the galaxy, Vera. We're here to remind it that peace without the ability to defend it isn't peace. It's just waiting to be conquered. The ship lifted off, leaving the assembly behind. Ahead, Solani space stretched out, colonies that would need defending, people who would need protecting. A war that had only just begun, but for the first time in months, Veyra felt something she hadn't felt since the Kyrath attack started. Hope. What happens now? She asked. Derek checked their navigation. Course set for Solani Prime. Home. Now we build something the galaxy has never seen. A species that chose peace, learning from a species that mastered war. The Solani's wisdom combined with human ferocity. We show the galaxy what's possible when the prey becomes the predator. And if the assembly tries to stop us? His smile was sharp as broken glass. Then they'll learn the same lesson the Kyrath did, that humanity keeps its promises. And I promise to burn before I let anyone harm my people. Veyra leaned against him as stars streaked past the viewport. She had married a human to save her people. She had witnessed his divine fury in battle, and now she would help build an alliance that would reshape the galaxy. Behind them, the assembly would debate and investigate and form committees. The Kyrath would plot revenge. Other species would choose sides. But none of it mattered, because the Solani had learned the most important lesson humanity could teach, that sometimes the only path to peace was through the heart of war itself. And they had found the perfect teacher.